A wall of lava stops just over a mile from a church. The people watching drop to their knees. They will call it a miracle, and for the next 2 centuries, most of recorded history will agree with them. They are wrong about what just happened, and they are completely wrong about what is about to begin, because the lava does not kill a single person, not one. But within 3 years, roughly 1 in 5 people on this island will be in the ground. Sheep will stand dying in the greenest fields in Iceland, stomachs full of grass, unable to swallow a single mouthful. Fishing boats will sit empty in the harbor with fish moving beneath them, because the men who should be rowing are too weak to lift an oar. And in an office in Copenhagen, a stack of paperwork will quietly decide who on this island gets to eat and who does not. Welcome back to Dark Ledger. June 8th, 1783. The eruption begins not as a single explosion, but as a tear across the earth, 17 miles long, running across southern Iceland. Around 140 separate vents open along the line. This is not a mountain erupting. This is the ground itself failing in sequence, a zipper of fire pulled across the landscape. The first terror is visual. Fire fountains thousands of feet high, ash columns blotting out daylight, rivers running strange colors. But within days, the eruption reveals its real mechanism, and almost no one recognizes it. The lava reaches the Skafta River Canyon and hijacks it. On June 9th, the river begins to drop. By June 11th, it is gone, not from drought, not from a failed storm upstream, but because molten rock has poured into the channel and plugged it like a clot in a pipe. What no one can see yet is that the ash-carrying fluorine compounds has already begun settling onto Iceland's pasture land. The grass is still green. The sheep are still eating. That fluorine is the first thing that will kill this island. It will take months before anyone understands what it has done. July 20th, 1783. The priest Jon Steingrimsson gathers his congregation inside the church at Kirkjubearklaustur, while a lava front pushes toward the settlement. When the service ends, the lava has stopped roughly 1.25 miles from the church doors. The story that circulates for the next 2 centuries frames this as divine intervention. Steingrimsson's own manuscript gives a different account. Small cold streams were still crossing the plain ahead of the flow. When the lava left the narrow canyon and spread onto flatter ground, it thinned, cooled faster, and lost heat to those streams faster than it could replace it. In his own written record, the physics beat the prayer. The church is saved. The island is not. Because while Iceland celebrated what it believed was a miracle, fluorine was doing something specific inside the bones of every sheep on the island. It was replacing part of the mineral structure inside their teeth and skeletons. Icelandic farmers had a word for what they began finding that autumn. Gadr, the spike. Bony formations growing around the teeth and tearing into the opposing jaw. Sheep standing in green pastures, stomachs full of grass, physically unable to make a single chewing motion. Farmers began forcing their animals' jaws open by hand, breaking out the spikes to allow one mouthful. It didn't save them. The autumn slaughter of 1783 is the moment Iceland begins to destroy its own future. The farmers make the only rational decision available. Livestock is dying, so slaughter now. Preserve the meat. Survive the winter. The storerooms fill. That winter is manageable. What they have done, without knowing it, is eat their next 2 years in a single season. By the end of 1784, contemporary records indicate roughly 80% of Iceland's sheep are dead, approximately half its cattle. On some counts, more than 3/4 of its horses. The dairy supply, one of the island's primary calorie sources in a normal year, is gone entirely. Families begin moving toward the coast, toward fish, toward the one thing that still sounds reliable. It isn't. Dried fish sustains life, but not health. Without milk, without fresh food, the body begins its own systematic failure. Gums blacken, teeth loosen, old wounds reopen. 99 people in Iceland are officially recorded as dying of scurvy in those 2 years. 88 of them die in a single coastal district, where almost no ash had fallen at all. The people who ran farthest from the volcano died in the highest numbers. A county commissioner reports 50 fishing boats sitting empty in one harbor that summer. The fish are there. The men are too weak to row. Iceland is Danish territory. Every action, every authorization, every export decision, every emergency measure requires written permission from Copenhagen. Governor Thodal files his first official report on the disaster in September 1783, 3 months after the eruption began. By September, the sailing season is already closing. By the time that report crosses the ocean and reaches a desk in Denmark, the last supply vessel of the year has already sailed. The window for getting food to Iceland before winter is closed. The following summer, 1784, 8 months after the last supply ship sailed, Danish vessels arrive carrying nearly 1 million pounds of grain. The eruption itself ends on February 7th, 1784. By 1786, Iceland's population has fallen by roughly 1/5. The official death records show 1,227 deaths in 1783, more than 5,400 in 1784, nearly 5,700 in 1785. Jon Steingrimsson, formally reprimanded by the Danish crown for distributing relief funds without written authorization, compiled his eyewitness account of every phase of the disaster. The administration that punished him for feeding people without permission is the same administration that sent the order to feed people on a single ship with no copy made. Þórunn Hannesdóttir is not in the 1783 death records. She's in the records for 1784, the delayed year, the year the eruption was already over. The lava killed no one. What killed 1 in 5 Icelanders was a governor who buried a rescue plan, merchants who balanced a ledger against a famine, and a piece of paper sent once on one ship with no duplicate. Because inside a system designed for normal conditions, no one had accounted for what happened when the ship didn't come back.